So this week on the Phantom Cave YouTube channel, we've got with us Dean Rankine and Jeremy Macpherson. Today we are going to be talking about a very special story that was published in the 2021 Christmas special, and that story is The Lifeblood. Now we go into question number one, and it is, when you were young, did you grow up reading The Phantom?
Is that for me or for Jeremy or for both of us?
Oh yeah, both of yous.
You go,
Okay.
Dean.
Actually, I did read The Phantom when I was young. I grew up in a beach town on the Mornington Peninsula here in Victoria. I'm from Melbourne, and there was a very I got all my comics from the newsagents. So there was the idea of going to a comic book shop was not really around for me at that time. So I picked up whatever I could scrounge, and I definitely scrounged up a number of Phantom comics, and I really liked them. Also, this is going back a little bit further down. Have you ever seen Defenders of the Earth, the animated TV show?
Oh,
Because which has got like the best intro to any cartoon that's ever. Like the theme song is amazing, and so coupled with that, I was very familiar and loved Phantom.
yeah, I'm probably the same as you, Dean. I obviously first, most people know that I obviously discovered the Phantom in 2016, and that was through my local news agency, and I still, on a Thursday morning sometimes in the afternoon, or if it got delayed like the last one did, one did, I will walk down there, I will pick up my Phantom comic, and then there's my reading material for the next couple of weeks.
So you're sorted, yeah. It's always it concerns me now that I guess some newsagents aren't stocking comics.
Yeah.
Probably the Phantom was one of the last ones that's even going to newsagents. And for kids coming up, for me it was like that was kind of the gateway drug into comics. When something like a comic book shop, sometimes they're in the city, their main city, they're harder to get to. It's not quite the same, but it's nice to see that Phantom's still around in newsagents.
Yeah, I
And
think.
what about you, Jeremy? Did you read them as a kid?
Oh, yes, definitely. And probably a similar thing with the newsagents, and also some of the show bags used to put the Phantoms in them, just kind of random issues you'd see in there. And also secondhand bookshops were a great place to get particularly some of the old, you'd find the ancient sort of blue covered issues sometimes just randomly. Just in big stacks.
And even now, sometimes I go around, I'm still finding them in odd little sort of op shops or little places around. There's some amazing collections around,
Yeah. I think when I used to, obviously, when I would take my Christmas break and when I'd do my breaks and all that sort of stuff, I would usually go up to my brother's, which right now he lives 10 hours away from me, so they used to, it's closed now, but they used to have a collectible shop where you would go in. It was huge, and I would go in, I would just straight away go to the Phantom section, and I would be picking out all the old sort of comics from the 90s. I think they also had stuff from the late 80s.
The old comics from the 90s. You make me feel real old. Old comics from the 90s. But you're right. Sorry for interrupting. Keep going.
I've got one of them, but it's not from the 90s, but it's actually from the late 80s, I think.
Well, yeah.
You can see.
It's gorgeous.
It's pretty cool. That I think came from a collector in my town. So question number 2 is, when you are wanting to design a cover or artworks for a new story, what are your steps to create a piece for a cover / artworks for the story, Jeremy?
Well, specifically for covers, often you are given usually you're given the story, and sometimes you're asked to sort of focus on a particular scene or particular characters. Usually you're asked to do a rough version first, or maybe a few versions of that. So I've done Phantom covers for Frew Publications, and also recently some ones for Manuscript, who do comics review in the US. And usually it's sort of a similar process where you kind of go up from, sometimes they ask for a particular scene, sometimes not, but usually it's sort of that whole process with a rough and refining it at that stage.
Rightio. So I think question number 3 is for both Jeremy and Dean. If you had to do a new story or creative project, who would you do the project with and why?
For Phantom or for Red?
It can be for the Phantom, but I guess the question also relates back to what other character would you do, and plus for the Phantom as well, if you understood what I'm
Well, I guess while sticking with the Phantom, I would work with Jeremy again in a second. To be honest, Jeremy has this a beautiful classic style in the Phantom that I love. In my mind, like it's like I don't love it when the Phantom gets upgraded, like updated. Like in my mind, he's always like a 50s kind of pop character, and I just love how Jeremy's work kind of just shows that it's just a beautiful classic style, and I think it works in well with the stories that I like to tell. So yeah, so here we go. This is Jeremy's work, which is when I saw the pencils, I was like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. So just beautiful classic work. Yeah. So I don't know, Jeremy, I don't know if you're from the 50s originally, but your style is just perfect for that. Were you like obviously you're heavily influenced by previous Phantom artists then? Is that the kind of, but is it the 50s that you kind of look to, or the 60s when it comes stylistically, may I ask?
Yes. Well, I think I definitely am a big fan of the probably the Italian Phantoms of the 60s, and also a lot of the older Australian comics, because I had art lessons from one of the original Frew Publications artists, who was one of the artists, Peter Chapman, who used to live nearby. So he was the artist on The Shadow and the Phantom Ranger, so Falcon. So yeah, I'd say probably, and I've just always had a big interest in a lot of the old Australian comics and the old publications. So I would say that yes, I am influenced a lot by probably the 60s, the 70s, that particular time period.
I love that to see that kind of style being made today. I think it's a really nice to appreciate the legacy of where the Phantom has come from. So yeah. So what? Yeah. So I kind of like your question. Yeah. So go on, Jeremy.
Oh no. Well, in terms of people I'd love to work with, obviously Dean again. I believe there may be another story coming, so that will be.
That's my hope. That's what I hear on the grapevine, on the Phantom grapevine. Yeah. So crossed.
Jungle drums.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's right. Do you hear it? That's what I hear. So yeah. I don't think we can talk too much more about that, but hopefully, I'm hoping that that's happening. So when I actually wrote the script, I was thinking of you as the artist when I was doing it. So fingers crossed that comes through. Okay.
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you, Bradley.
Question number 4 is, what sort of advice would you give to a beginner artist / creative person? This question is for both of you.
I guess I'll go. I guess so, because I'm a writer and an artist.
Yeah.
So I guess when it comes to either both, it would be to do it as much as possible. Like obviously, if you're writing, you want to try to do it as every day. If you're drawing, you want to do as much as you can, because nobody's going to be good to start with. I heard some creator say, I'm blanking on it, he was an American artist, maybe Silvestri was saying something like, you have to draw 2,000 pages before you're any good
Yeah,
of comics.
I've heard about that quote before somewhere. I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and I'm a big believer. And when I first heard that, that was awful because you want to think that you're pretty good. Right now I'm pretty good, but it does take time. And I think, particularly if you want to draw comics, then you have to actually draw comic pages. It's no comics are a storytelling medium, so you need to think about the kind of shots that you want to draw. So it's not purely, my favorite, that it's not purely like, it's not about just drawing pinups. It's not just about drawing cool characters. It's about your ability to put those characters in situations and choose the right shot to tell the best story. That's ultimately the goal. So, and I think that takes time to learn. So I guess my basic advice would be, if you want to be a comic book artist, is to draw pages, not just pinups.
Okay. Some good information.
Yeah.
Because
Great advice.
I think where Dean is going, my interpretation of what Dean's saying, the artist that I'm thinking of that does a lot of that and does a lot of sort of cinematic shots in the artworks is Mike Manley.
Yeah. Look, even if you look seriously, if you look at Jeremy's examples again of the story that he drew, then you can see it's the making the establishing shot, it's the different angles, it's the so all that goes into creating a good story, and it's not just about it's not just about being able to draw pretty pictures.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to say this again, beautiful colours. Beautiful colours.
Thomas Mason, those colours, fantastic.
Stunning.
Jeremy, did you have anything to add to that question?
Yes, so I think Dean's advice is excellent. Probably the other thing that I would recommend is just to keep at it. I think you probably find a lot of the time persistence and just keep working on projects. Projects often don't always work out. Sometimes things happen, they're disappointed, but if you keep at it, normally at some point you will get somewhere with it. It may take a long time. A lot of the people that look like they're starting to have some success have been working on things for years or decades and small projects, but really just keeping at it is a massive thing.
Question 5 is, what are your hobbies? Do you have any pets? What do you do when you're not doing art? Or do you have any favourite sport teams or anything like that? And this question is for both of you.
Jeremy, you go first.
Well, probably when I'm not working on comics, I work as a librarian in a large public library. So that takes up a fair bit of my time. Also, I do a fair bit of research for different projects, which some of them are comic related. And I help out with some of the things like the Comic Art Awards. I was very lucky to present one of the Ledger Awards.
Oh, yeah.
Ago. But probably things like that in Brisbane. At the moment, I'm helping with a large comics reprinting project, which is going to be coming out hopefully soon. And those kind of things are quite exciting, going into archives, finding the different documentation, the letters from the original creators, the original proof pages, original art. I find all of that really interesting.
Those letters, I'm guessing they're going to be very, they would be very interesting because most of the time, I'm just going to say, most of the time when, like I read comics, like say when the Frew Publications ones come out, I read Dudley's publisher notes, and it's sometimes it's quite interesting how he describes different things, and how he recently, I think in the last year or so, he's been adding sort of like an entertainment sort of note at the end of it, which in the last couple of issues, I think it has been getting very good.
Yes, yes. Dudley and Glenn and Renee are all doing a fantastic job at Frew, and all the rest of the Frew crew.
Especially the lettering on issue 1910 on the front cover.
Mm-hmm.
That issue, when I got that was the lettering stand out for me the most, but the cover art was it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
So for me, I actually used to work in a library as well for 5 years back in the day. But I have a part-time job as well. It's in the evenings. So it's an outreach needle and syringe program. So I provide cleaning, injecting equipment to drug users, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. I have 2 cats, Lacey and Gizmo, and for fun, right, I like to read. I'm reading the Rivers of London series at the moment. Have you read that, Jeremy? That's great. It's really good.
No, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, it's really good. I like to watch, just movies and stuff like that. And COVID's kind of knocked around our Dungeons and Dragons session these days, but hopefully that will get back up again soon, that we can do that. Yeah, so that's me. That's for me when I'm not drawing or writing.
Okay. Question number 6. In the story that you did the art for in last year's 2021 Christmas special, where did you get your inspiration for the artworks? Was there a message contained in the story? And this question is both used because you both either wrote it or did the art.
Jeremy, did you want to answer that bit first?
Yeah, probably. Quite a bit of like photographs and things of cattle, of hyenas, and just kind of trying to work out the best sort of action angles. That was probably a lot of it, and just even because I did help a little bit with some of the colours in sort of getting the different times of day, different light, trying to reflect different scenes. So. Yeah, I hope people liked what we came up with. And I think particularly with what Thomas did at the end with the night scene, I think that turned out really well.
Yeah, I agree. I guess for my bit as far as messages goes, I guess it was I love the Phantom, but I'm always a little bit concerned about the whole kind of white hero component of that. So I just want to make sure, particularly this story, to show that other characters in Bengala are heroic as well. Like the story is about this, like he's one of the local kids who's protecting his cattle, and he's doing it with just a spear, and showing that anybody can be heroic or have the right kind of priorities. So that was, it's only 4 pages, so it's not too deep. But I wanted to show that there's other characters who are heroic, not just Phantom, who is also heroic.
I think that message that you're trying to put into that story, I think that it's pretty good. I would say that the message that is going into, and when people are reading it, I reckon that it was conveyed very good.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun to work on. Also, it's really nice because my art, normally the stuff I work on is very cartoony. So it's nice to be work in conjunction with someone like Jeremy who can, so I can sort of tackle some more serious kind of storytelling. If I was if I was drawing it, it would just be goofy. But because I've got a good artist with me, I can be able to tell some more other kinds of stories, I guess.
Question number 7 is, what is it like writing and drawing artworks for the Phantom? And do you ever think what it would have been like if the character was never created back in 1936? This question is for Jeremy and Dean. Obviously, Dean's done
Okay.
the story, but what is it like writing or doing the art for the Phantom?
I think with the Phantom, because it's got such a long tradition, and I think particularly going all the way back to 1936, Lee Falk, obviously, all the different artists that have worked on it. I think, and just even the way that he's changed, like he's always had quite a sense of humor. Those old stories are actually really quite funny, particularly those early ones, the Ray Moore ones. So, I think it's a real honor to work on it, particularly with the history in Australia, because Australia loves the Phantom.
Oh, yeah.
The Phantom has got such a popularity here. I think it's, and it's quite a part of the culture in Australia. So it is quite an honor, and I think you want to treat it with a lot of respect and, provide something that people will like, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same as well, that that he's a beloved character of this country, and to get an opportunity to work on it in any way was an absolute privilege. I've been trying for a long time. I've sent lots of scripts off, so to actually finally get there has been pretty sweet.
I've actually myself, I've asked Dudley, how many times have I asked Dudley? I've asked him a few times if I could write him a story, but obviously it hasn't happened yet.
It's a tough road, but I was really happy to score anything, but hopefully there'll be more in the future.
Question 8 is, if they ever make another movie or TV show for our character, what would you like them to focus on? This question is for both of you.
I would like the sort of the focus to be on the family. I think is really interesting, the family dynamic, and what I also like is how, because the Phantom, he never dies, and I love because you could tell a story that kind of is sweeping the decades. So that would be kind of cool. Anything in the jungle.
It could be I reckon I've got an idea. You've got the opening scene, it's a wide frame, comes into the skull throne, and there's either a gust of wind blowing, dust through, and that could be something to symbolize centuries or something. So it could convey that it's this character has a big legend and it has a big history to tell or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I like your ideas, Bradley. They're very good.
Yeah,
I think
idea just then.
Yeah, with the movie, I think really to try and do the character well and with respect would be a main thing. And just, there's so much material there that can be used. There's so many, obviously, all the generations. I think really trying to use that well and, using the visual material that's there rather than trying to make something, in the future or completely changing the costume, completely changing the characters. I think maybe if there's a good reason, but there's so much, the look is iconic. Use the iconic look that is there, I think is important.
question 9 is, if you could choose a character that could do a story that could include the Phantom, who would it be and why? It's a Jeremy question.
Okay. I think one character to be with Phantom that would be pretty cool would probably be the Panther.
Oh,
I think that would be a pretty cool to have a team up with the two of them. Hopefully that might happen one day, but I think they would just be really cool together. And I did meet the creator of the Panther once, Paul Wheelerhan. He was at one of the Supernova shows, or maybe the Comic Fest, which was a precursor. And I think that would be pretty cool, because I know the Phantom and the Raven have met.
Oh, yes.
And there have been a few little things with the Phantom and the Panther, which I'm sure you've seen, and I've always thought they were pretty cool.
That story that is with the Phantom and the Raven, everyone knows my opinion on that story. And question number 10 is, if a company had to make a piece of merchandise on our character and wasn't limited to anything, or wasn't limited to resources, or wasn't limited to money or anything like that, what would it be? This question is for Jeremy and Dean.
Oh, well, obviously a full-size Phantom, I think it would be. Why muck around? Not like, full size, like big, like, I don't know, that would be awesome. Like standing on coming out of, standing on a rock with, I don't know, devil. hey, I know, let's stick him on the horse. Put him on a hero, that'll be awesome. That's what I want. That's how big I'm going. 3-dimensional, it'd be magnificent.
Yeah, I think, the people want a full-size Phantom. They want a full skull throne that they can have at home and sit on. They want that.
Exactly.
Yes,
We've got both. Whoever's in charge of this information, they could come and see Jeremy and I, and we'll sort them out. Tell them what we want.
I'm sure that Dean and Jeremy will sort someone out if they want information.
Yes, exactly.
Question number 11 is, what is your favourite thing about the character? Variations of the costumes, the mysterious nature... Hang on a sec. The mysterious nature of the character. This question is for Jeremy and Dean. Did you want me to read that again?
Oh.
I'll read it again. Question number 11 is, what is your most favourite thing about the character? Variations of the costumes, the mysterious nature of the character. This question is from Jeremy and Dean.
You want to go, Dean?
Oh yeah. So I like the purple blue kind of costume. I like that color. What I love about the Phantom was when I was a kid, I'd watch there's like old Tarzan movies, and there was a Tarzan series, and there was a show called Daktari, and it was in Africa. I was obsessed with Africa, right? And but it's kind of, my version isn't like a real version, it's like a made-up version. It's kind of like where Phantom lives, because I've been to Africa. It does not look like how it's shown on TV, right? There's no like, the jungle's like is so much more like South America or India, or I love it how there's tigers, right, and lions together and this kind of stuff. So I love it's kind of like, it's just the full fantasy and exotic location and people groups that I find really interesting. And I just love the idea of cool people doing cool things in the jungle. That's what I love about Phantom.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree. I like the whole location. I like the Phantom with his motives, you know, with his fighting for justice. And in terms of variations, I love the grey Glenn Lumsden variations. I just love it. It's just so cool.
I haven't got
That's probably my favorite variation. Yeah.
I haven't got my Glenn Lumsden poster up yet, but his covers, I think his recent one for Giant Size 19 was beautiful, and he's also his cover for the Christmas special, 2020
Yeah.
Christmas special was
Mhm.
absolutely beautiful. That's why
Gorgeous, isn't it?
it was in the #1 spot in the 2021 countdown.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons why I like the Phantom is obviously when I was starting to like the Phantom, obviously in 2016, I liked it because of the black and white mood, like the black and white mood and the mysterious stuff, how they do the so say he's Mr. Walker, he's got Devil by his side, he's walking up the street, the jungle scene is just above him in the comic panel, he's got he's walking up the street, he's got a bit of, I would say, fog coming through the scene, so it's sort of that mysterious nature. That's the part I like, and the color purple.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be ending our interview with the last question. Question number 12 is for Dean. So question number 12, as you might have known when I sent the questions off to you, Dean, is you have worked on kids' magazines, Dean. What was the best part of working on them? Because when I was growing up, I was obviously when I was growing up, I was collecting the Crash magazines. I was collecting the old Scooby-Doo magazines that would be published, I think, in 2009 by Otter Press. I collected the old Simpsons magazines that was published by Bongo, and all those types of things. And I still had.
So I liked working on the kids' magazines, and what it was not, it was kind of my kind of breaks into comics began with working on magazines here in Victoria that they sold at schools, and then I worked on Mad Magazine, and then worked on a lot of those kids' magazines. They were fun to do, but it was kind of a stepping stone for me. They didn't pay very well, but why they're so important to me is that I was working on them, then the work dried up, so I had to go and find something else, and that's when I went to my local Coles and picked up a Simpsons comic and had a look at it. I thought it was really good, but there was one page that wasn't quite as good as the others. And I looked at that page and I thought I could just about do as good as the worst page I saw in the comic. I could just about do it. And you know how Jeremy was saying before about how long this takes? It was 38. It took a long time to get to this point. But at that point, I sent off work to Bongo and started working on the Simpsons comic. So that's so I have a lot actual fond memories for the kids magazines because that they were able to be a kind of a training ground at a space where then I got to do arguably one of the biggest things I've ever worked on. And once you've worked on The Simpsons, what's really nice about that is then people assume that you know what you're doing. And it kind of opens the door just a little bit for when you're sending other work off. So since then, I got to work on Futurama and Rick and Morty, Invader Zim. I've done a big Archie graphic novel. And so here now I got to do a Phantom story which I wrote. So there's been kind of a progression that I've built on over the years. So I've been really fortunate about what I've been able to work on.
I think because I saw somewhere on yesterday. So yesterday I'm on Facebook, and I've seen this post. So I think coming soon there's supposed to be a new Futurama series by
That's right.
Hulu or something. So yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Supposedly it's back. They haven't got John DiMaggio back yet as on the voice of Bender, so that I think that's continuing to be an issue. Yeah, it's exciting, and hopefully, they've the Futurama and the Simpsons comics is finished now, but it'd be really sweet if they could if they came back. That would be lovely. Here's hoping.
Jeremy, did you do anything to do with kids magazines or something?
I did a few things. Probably not kids comics. I did a few sort of early things like knee pockets, pop culture, a few things with Dylan Naylor, things like that. I think I did like a one-page thing in Crash many years ago. That's probably all from the kids comic side. Yeah.
But Jeremy, while you're here, Master, how many stories have you done for Phantom? How many Phantom? You've done a lot, haven't you?
Well, I've done mostly covers. I've done 2 stories so far that have been published, but hopefully more and hopefully longer ones will be good.
Absolutely.
I think one of the...
Again, beautiful work. Sorry, Brad, go on.
Sorry. One of the stories that was published a few years ago, it didn't involve the Phantom, but it involved the Shadow, and I liked that story. It's just... Oh
yes, I've done a number of Shadow stories as well. No, thank you. I really liked your review of that, Bradley. Thank you So I've done I think 3 Shadow stories that have come out, and hopefully more will come soon. And I have done a Phantom Ranger story, which will hopefully come out in the near future. So I really like those giant-sized characters. They're pretty cool. Yeah.
So if the audience would like to reach out to you and, say, order commissions or get special artworks for, say, a special occasion, how could they? This question.
Jeremy, go for it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I have a website. It's jeremymacpherson.com.au, and also on Instagram. I think it's JMacpherson Comics. So people can contact me on both. Yes.
And for me, I don't do commissions, but if you can, if you want to come say hi or follow me, I'm on Facebook, Dean Rankine, and on Instagram, Dean Rankine. But I don't do the Twitter. I hate the Twitter.
I reckon, for me, Twitter is it's just too. I just don't feel like doing it because it's too complicated.
Okay, yeah, it's a cesspool, but that was me. Okay. Thanks so much, Bradley.
It's
Thank you.
too much effort doing the just doing all the. Sometimes it's too much effort doing the Facebook and Instagram stuff. But thank you, Jeremy Macpherson and Dean Rankine, for joining us today for this interview. Also, we need people like you two who make this character enjoyable on a weekly basis. And if you would like to support Phantom Cave Reviews, you can do this by subscribing, commenting. Who would you like me to interview next time on the Phantom Cave community interviews? And as always, keep Phantom Caving, and we will see you next time on the YouTube channel.